Hi, and welcome to the garden again. And today, day 8 of the candles, we have Kim from Intuitiview, and I'm so excited that she came and joined us today. And as y'all know, I got tired of burning my finger with matches. There's a lot of candles here, so I'm going to light the candles now, and then I'll say our little prayer. And remember, we're lighting these candles because we've been unmasked in the U.S. We've made a really huge step forward. We had our Canadian cousin, Andrea, who is not yet in a country that has that freedom. But I want each of us to think about, now that we have a new sense of freedom and a new view of the world, how are we going to use it to improve ourselves and others? And I'm going to turn around so we get the stone in the middle. Okay. Thank you and welcome to this path with the 9 candles, merging your energy with these candles to activate your personal journey with the candles today at this time. And now we're going to go back to Ms. Kim.
Hello.
I've been asking everyone who comes on the show if they have a ritual that they kind of observe. I mean, some people have a lot. Some people have like one they do every once in a while. I pull this out when I'm feeling very abundant, very grateful, and I want to focus my energy into that sort of gratitude. What kind of rituals do you have in your life, Kim?
Well, one ritual I have that I do almost every day, I at least do it every day that I read, every day that I do readings. I sit in that little chair back there and I just express my gratitude to all of the spirit help that I have doing this work. I think that gratitude is, Eckhart Tolle says that gratitude is, when you have gratitude, you open up your heart to receive more. And so I think it is one of those, it's one of those things that I think is essential, especially if you're manifesting, if you're, you know, wanting to add things to your life that are, that maybe you need to bring into your life. I think that expressing gratitude is a way to, like you said, kind of make room for more, open yourself up. And there is, when you have gratitude, I feel like, especially when I do that particular ritual, it does feel like I am opening up, I'm expressing something, and I'm remaining open. And I think that's a big thing, especially for if you are a reader, remaining open and open to the divine is a big part of that. And so it allows me to not only remember that I don't do this work alone. I have help, a lot of help.
Yeah, we're just the mailman. We find the letters and bring them across.
Yeah, exactly. And it also just expresses that how grateful I am to be able to do this work at all. And that it allows me to receive more so that I can keep doing it.
Okay, good. Well, that brings me to your quote. And I picked this quote for Kim, and we hadn't had this discussion before. But this is a quote I picked for Kim. And the day came when the risk to remain a bud was more painful than the risk to become the blossom. And I like that one because it's garden, buds, blossoms.
It's a garden.
Yeah, but it's from Anais Nin, and she was one of the early feminists in the 1900s.
Oh,
so,
right.
So anyway, the other thing I've been doing every day during this period of time is the book Angelspeake. And if you've been following me, you've seen the title and the ladies who wrote it. It's 2 sisters, which Kim should relate to, that both were psychic. They didn't know they were psychic. They were on opposite ends of the country as adults and became aware that angels were kicking them in the head every night and saying, listen to us, listen to us. You need to know this. So in this book, if you get it, the red that's written there was when the angels spoke, and the black is their interpretation of it. So it's kind of interesting. And it says, and this one is step 6 is inner knowing. There will be an absence of ego involved. You will not have to think about or plan what you would like to put on paper. It just comes. You will find you don't remember what you even did after you wrote it. It will always seem fresh. And then their first comment on that is, read the angel's information in italics again. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to plan it. It just comes. And what I like about this book is you can give it to somebody who says, oh, I can't do what you do. And you can say, read through this book. And, it's like so skinny. You can't, I mean, you've read newspapers thicker than that. And if you've read newspapers, and you can draw from that just a whole lot of lessons about opening up, just like Kim said, and when you do what we do, you learn to be open and open up all the time. It's really important to do that. Did you have any other messages of, Kim's had a long day, guys. She's been reading a lot.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Well, and I think a couple of things, because that quote about it being harder or more difficult to remain the bud than to open and be the blossom. I think a lot of people can relate to that, because it reminds me of when you know you want to do something or try something new, and that time when it becomes more painful to not ever know what would happen, rather than just to jump in and just do it and become what you think you can be. So I love that. And then I think when in this last thing with the angel messages, talking about the inner knowing part of you being absent of ego. And I think that's so true, and it talks about not thinking. And I think that is where you get in touch with that inner knowing, is when you can get out of your head, and get into that deeper part of yourself that is connected to spirit. And it's so hard for humans to do that. It's really, really hard to get out of that thinking, that treadmill that we always get on. And I think the best way that for me to do it is to breathe, to remember to breathe.
That's the first, that's after praying. The second step in this is breathe.
Exactly. And I think that's a big thing, because it brings you back into your body rather than up here in your head. And that is where we are connected to spirit. It isn't in our brain. We think it is, but it's not, because we have a lot of deep thoughts in there, but it really is connected to that part of us, that knowing part of us that's much deeper.
Right.
That's not at all connected to our brain. It's connected to our being.
Right. Do you have the problem? I know every reader I talk to pretty much has this. People come up to you and say, remember when you told me, or remember when you said, and you kind of have to look at them. And it's not like you weren't as present as you could be in that reading, but those readings are ours to give to you. I always tell people, you either record it now, baby, don't come to me in 3 months.
Yeah.
I'm not going to remember all that. And I think that reflects that. And I think that's what makes people worry about it. That's one reason why in here it also says, write it down. Write down the insights you're getting so you can refer to them, even if it's just a few words, even a day. You go back and you start looking at those diaries and you're like, oh my God.
It is. I think that, well, I mean, I am a big believer in journaling, because I think it maps your growth, right? It maps your change. You can see how far you come from whatever and it gives you such insight into your own life and who you are. It also gives you perspective.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's actually a really good, I think that's a really good habit to have, is to write things down. And when I do a reading, I do the same thing. I tell people to either write it down or record it, because when I do a reading, you're so present in the moment. You're right there, and it is like you're just in a slightly different consciousness. And I feel it's so hard to it is, you really do become kind of the telephone. It's coming right through you. And so you're not even really thinking about it or filtering it or anything. It's just coming. And so I think that when you're in that mode, you're not in a state where you're going to make yourself remember anything. You're just kind of in flow. You're just letting it come right through you. And so there really isn't a way that you're going to remember any of it or all of it. Or
it's not your or my story. It's the
right.
person who's being read. It's your story. You have to relate the images and what you see.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I did get another comment request. I tell people when you see these, please write comments of what you want included in, because I have a sheet under here that I write the intentions that people have sent in down. And we've gotten all the people who want the diversity of our country to go away, that the people want real healing. One day in this circle, I did a reading of the next 6 months, and it really looks gorgeous, Kim, but it's one of those, it looks gorgeous, but for those of us who survived, we look back. And we carry some of the burden of having to look back, and that the angels are telling us, move forward. We kept you here. Your energy's here. Yours is the energy that can make the change we need to make.
Right.
So that's where we are. Okay. The last thing I do on these wonderful days, unless Kim has something else you want to talk about.
No, I think you're right. I think that, and I think looking back is, it's very human, right? To want to go back and keep looking over things and keep trying to make sense of things. And it really does come to a point where it's like, it happened. It happened. It's done. We have to see where we are now and move forward, and use it as a lesson out of it, whatever that lesson is for, on the micro level and the macro level, and then go forward.
And there's so much that we're going forward to. I think so many people have learned that they had so much stripped away of what they were artificially hiding themselves in. And now I don't know what your readers, what your clients are like, but when I'm reading people, it's like they're all busting out all this, their sense of spirit, and like, all of a sudden I know this stuff. And how come I know this stuff? And I said, well, it was always there for you to access, but apparently having a lot of the other layers of things pull away has made us become those blossoms when we wanted to stay buds.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I'm going to use my Power of Surrender deck, which is something that both Kim and I share. She uses them too. And I'm just going to.
It's beautiful. I love the pictures. I love the pictures on the outside and the inside.
Surrender to non-action. Which is, now is the time to be still, not act. Simply breathe and focus on your own power. Let others come to you.
There's a lot to be said for that, right?
That's what will happen. Somebody asked me, because, someone who's known me a long time said, your world's changed so dramatically. Not the reader part I read before, but the levels that I read on and things are so very different. And they were like, everything's working out for you. I mean, the world's like falling apart. And you're just going on. Let's build grids. Let's do this. Let's go find something else fun to do. And all in staying in the house. And I used to run volunteer organizations with thousands of volunteers. I mean, I had people around me all the time. I went to, and they're like, how are you moving forward? And I said, because I just surrendered to the flow. There was and I totally relate to the people who went and dodged things by going out, and whether it was finding out happy hour wasn't all that happy or whatever people did. But I woke up in a different world and had to kind of stop, and all of a sudden the flow caught me. I mean, after all those years of me trying to walk upstream, I said, oh crap, I'm going down. Just gave it up. So anyway,
I think that's true though. I think that surrendering to non-action, I think that is so hard for Americans to, especially to do, is to just to take a minute and assess where things are, assess where you are, get in the moment, get in the and be ready for what comes next. And I think that it's one of the hardest things to do, because as soon as we see things falling apart or things changing, we want to do something. And a lot of times it's like, no, like you said, take a breath and surrender to where we are. And then instead of reacting, just, and then act. Act in a way that's a little bit more, it's
positive,
more in flow with life.
Have you ever heard Joe Dispenza's thing about how we need to take our bodies and sit it down like a dog and say, sit, or tell it a horse to stand? You just have to stand there. And so all of a sudden you're not in the traffic being angry at all the other cars. You're sitting in this body, and all of a sudden you start to get a clarity. And I think he taped that years ago. And all of a sudden the universe did that to us. It said, nope, we're going to stop your world. We're going to stop it right now. And y'all are going to look at it. And what he says, what happens from that is, instead of cause and effect, where we think, well, that happened, so I have to go do this, then what he calls the Newtonian function, we're in a quantum world now. So we just are who we are. We're moving in the flow. And then when the energy gets strong enough, that wave becomes a particle. And that's the reality we step into. So
it is. It's an amazing time we're living through. It really is. It is absolutely amazing to see where we were before before the pandemic and all of these things happened. Everybody was just going. I don't even think people were thinking anymore. They were just having to stay on top of what they were already doing. It was just this constant going, and then all of a sudden to have everything just stop. It really, really jolts you awake in a way that I don't think anything else.
You don't have your old patterns to hide from the new present.
Right.
All of them were stripped away. They were just gone.
That's right.
And you just had to adjust to it, and you learned to live through it. And we all have. Anyone who's watching this has. And we need to make the most of the opportunity that's been handed to us, I think. And I think that's what the 9 candles are about. It's like, let's get energized.
Yeah.
So with the last part of the 9 candles, Kim, is I have to blow them out, because one woman thought I wasn't blowing them out at night, and she had her own set at home. She says, how come you always have candles in the next? I blow them out.
Okay.
1, 2. Oh, and just to prove how human readers are, the first 3 days of my 9 candles, I only had 8 candles on you.
Oh.
And we all know, I mean, we're all looking at it going, okay. So, and then what I love is the wisps of smoke going up to heaven. It's like when you burn,
that's beautiful.
The thoughts. In my church, we burn candles, and in my church, when I'm finished with the 9 candles, in case you don't stay to the bitter end, folks, I will light the 9 candles tomorrow, and then they'll just all burn down. This is a fireproof thing, and they just burn to the ground, and that's all the energy that we've built up going up to heaven, and that really does work. I really, really want to thank Kim for coming here today and to be part of this with us. And I really want to thank everyone who's been coming over to see it. Please like and subscribe. I don't burn candles all the time. I don't always have wonderful other readers with me. Sometimes you just get stuck with me, but I do say some pretty strange things. So
thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Nancy, for inviting me. It's a pleasure. It was an honor.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.